Right. The Beet Knight introduces you to this little local farmer. He is basically the little farmhand here who's going to be watching over these crops for the Beet Knight, expressing he's going to be planting actual beets and all the sorts of mints and herbs like for his brand of tea, that the health potion tea.
Mm-hmm.
And he is spouting off. He is overjoyed by this garden he's setting up here. At which point, both of you will hear a carriage, a horse-drawn carriage, approach from the south and pull up right behind you guys on the corner here and stop.
Okay.
Excuse me. There is the coachman sitting atop, directing. We'll say it's a single horse carriage. Is a very strong, burly man who is not wearing a shirt. He would appear something out of a cliche of a blacksmith. He's got a grayed-in beard. He's certainly the epitome of the strong man. He looks the two of you up and down, and just kind of turns back to the horses like he's waiting for something. As the door of this carriage flings open, both of you, well, let's see, what should I do this? Roll perception and then roll reflex.
Okay. Perception was 11, and reflex was... Let's see. You want me to check my reflex score or just roll for it?
Well, no, what's your standard reflex?
Alright, my standard reflex is 16.
Oh, perfect. You easily see and are able to dodge about 5 or 6 little red purplish vegetables that are tossed in your direction. They kind of land about your feet, not in a very strong way, but a few of them happen to bounce off of the Beet Knight with a gentle thud and kind of land to the ground. The Beet Knight will pose his hands on his hips. What's this, then? As a small girl jumps out of the carriage and eagerly runs up and gives the Beet Knight a gracious hug. The Beet Knight seems just as happy, begins to belt with laughter. I should have known it was you. I never could get over the fact that you didn't like beets. Elrik, you notice these are radishes around that have been kind of chucked at you.
Can I pick up a few up? Because you can never have too much food on you at any time during an adventure, even
Certainly.
in town.
You pocket a few radishes. Um, this little girl is just as bubbly as ever, dressed in pretty much less than standard adventurer's gear, but she does not appear to be looked like any noble's daughter of any kind. Strapped upon her back is a very large, long-barreled blunderbuss. She expresses her joy to the Beet Knight and giddily expresses, I didn't expect to see you over here, you old fuddy-duddy. Who's this guy? She eagerly turns towards you. The Beet Knight will kind of put a kind hand on her shoulder. This is a new friend of mine. He is the forest man. He goes by Elrik. Elrik, I would like to introduce you to a good friend of mine. This is Miss Lottie Rothwell.
I just nod and say it's nice to meet you.
She bouncily jumps away from Beet Knight and goes over to you and gladly holds out a hand, expecting you to shake her hand.
I cautiously shake her hand.
She gladly shakes your hand, very, very hyperly. She then poses you a funny look like she's contemplating something. She quickly runs around you, immediately kind of start grabbing at your clothing a little bit, picking up like a side of your shirt, kind of like really looking you over.
At this point, I'm beginning to get very flustered at this.
You're right, he does look like a fox, she says. Beet Knight will belt again with laughter. Is it that obvious? The Beet Knight will pose to you. You must excuse her. She is She is quite excitable.
It's like I can tell, trying to hold back a smile, because she has it seems she has the ability to bring out energy wherever she goes.
The Beet Knight will grab this. She's not a child, but she is certainly acting as one. The Beet Knight will grab this young lady under her arms, like picking up a small child and pulling her away from you for a moment, and looking to her and asking, "Well, what brings you here? Why, will you be in town for long?" As you see the Beet Knight look up to the driver and give him a nod of acknowledgement. Um, this Rothwell will express that in a little bit of a sad tone. "No, I just stopped by. We are actually kind of heading over towards Stillwater. There's a funeral being held for a friend I met once," she says as her eyes kind of sink and meet the road. "Shame," the Beet Knight poses. "Well, we're more than happy to see you at any time, and feel free to stop by." She giddily accepts and gives the Beet Knight another gracious hug and looks to you and gives you a very hyperactive wave, like a child would.
I just wave back.
As she bids her goodbye and jumps back into the carriage as the driver whips onto the horses as this carriage begins to make its way around, disappear around the corner. "Sorry about that. Wasn't expecting visitors," Beet Knight says.
That's all right. Does she always travel with this many radishes?
"You see, she never was fond of beets. She always wanted me to be the radish knight, but beggars can't be choosers."
I just shrug.
"So what brings you here, Elrik? I wasn't expecting you so soon."
Well, to be perfectly honest, I just finished with the town auction.
"Ah, yes."
Uh, but the individual that I told you about is probably waiting to meet us.
"Oh, yes, the job. Yes, certainly. Shall we be on our way?" He kind of poses an arm.
Most certainly. Let's start heading
The
out.
two of you will begin to make your way towards the local bar, which is actually this one right here. You've seen it a few times, but you yourself have not been inside. Get up to it. You can now read the actual sign that you have overlooked many a time without actually trying to read it, known as the Victor's Chalice. The Beet Knight gets up to the door and, as the gentleman he is, holds out a hand as if to say, "You first?"
Head on in.
Right, here we go. Time for some fun. You are met with the noise and the hustle and bustle of the Victor's Chalice. A very large, handmade inn, tavern, and bar together. This place is not exactly the most expensive and well-crafted tavern, but it is far above shanty town. As you expected, the funding for this building was probably stolen like the rest of everything else around town. The stone floor seems to eagerly complement the fine exported woods, various aesthetics that make up this tavern. There's the large bar, a large fireplace hearth at the back, a stage, as well as a grandiose wooden staircase to your left which leads to more rooms up on the second balcony there. Take it away.
Do I see Cal anywhere?
Roll perception.
Yes. 18.
Alright. Almost beeline, making eyes the first person you see, straight back, you might want to zoom out, at this kind of oval table, more towards the back.
Mm-hmm.
This gentleman here, where I'm pinging, you lock eyes with him, and his signature pink glasses. That is Cal, sitting with a few friends you recognize.
All right, let's walk on that way.
Beet Knight will clunk behind you. Right here, the bartender will chime up and ask if you want anything, if you need anything.
I just shake my head no with a mild dismissive wave.
Uh, the Beet Knight is posing a thought like he is considering it. You are immediately tapped on the shoulder, and there is a young, what would be considered a squire, a young boy of no older than 13 or so, who's come up to you. Hey, hey, I need your help.
With what?
Can, I'll pay you double if you can get me a beer.
Uh, I'm sorry, no.
Come on, just one. It's all I'm asking.
No.
Okay, triple. He attempts to raise his price.
There are some rules that are in place that need to be kept in place.
Well, what am I supposed to do? I need a beer. Come on, just do this for me.
No. You can find something else to consume.
Oh, no, what about your friend? Can he? What about him? Beat Knight is kind of looking over the menu that has been scratched about the some hanging signs from this balcony here.
I don't think he would oblige either.
He is hovering expectantly.
Um, I gotta stop for a moment, man. Listen, I really don't care what you do, but I am not purchasing you anything. I have someplace I need to be. At this point, I step closer to the bar and around him.
Do you just step to the side or do you keep going?
I step to the side and keep going.
Okay. The Beat Knight takes notice that you step away and he quickly begins to follow the Squire raises a hand like he's about to grab the Beat Knight's attention, but falls short as you two kind of just walk away.
Alright, so I approach the table with Cal.
There's a oblong table here. There's the, you know, 6 seats here. You see Cal seated across the table from you with his signature pink glasses. A tiefling to his immediate right, and a female dressed in pretty much the lesser amount of armor that would be usually portrayed as an assassin. And there's a fairly medium small wooden chest on the table. Cal immediately meets you with his wide Cheshire grin as per usual. The other two have taken notice that you two are in the area. The Beat Knight kind of steps to your side, not knowing Cal, as good as you would.
At this point, I want to find a place to sit down.
I am terribly sorry, our name plates have fallen off since we've changed maps. Let me fix that.
Okay?
Right, you...
We're sitting down somewhere.
Okay. Take a seat where do as you please. The Beet Knight will graciously take this seat here. As expected, and not just by his expression, Cal is happy to see you here. He is happy you've arrived. You expect Cal's kind of waited at the bar every day for the past week, not knowing which day in particular you'd show up. But you don't think that has impeded him from any of his duties or his, well, merchanting. He expresses his thanks to see you, but more importantly, he scoots back from his chair, reaches up over the edge of the table, grabs this chest, drags it back to him, kind of slides it right towards your half of the table. Elrik, I'm very glad you made it. Here, this is a little token of my appreciation here for you. Consider it a forward payment.
I hmm, opening it up in the middle of the bar would probably be a bad idea. So I'm just gonna slide it to the side and say I've accepted it, and we'll open it later, as it might be risky to open it here.
He sees you do this and express, no, please, please, go ahead. Go ahead. I'm sure everyone here would love to get to know you a little more, and, well, you know this place around here's no shy people to treasure. He raises a hand to his two friends opposite of you. We've got more than enough people here to cover if something were to go wrong.
Well, then I open it up and take a look.
Roll perception.
Right. 18.
Alright. As soon as you notch this chest open about like an inch, your hand instantly recoils as you see teeth sprout from the edges.
Oh, thank goodness.
This thing spurts into a mimic and wildly starts thrashing right in front of your face. The Beet Knight about jumps halfway out of his chair, wielding a hand over his sword in a stance.
Um, are there locks on the chest or anything?
There was not a lock.
That's unfortunate. I was gonna try and lock it up. Uh,
Would you say this phased Elrik in any way?
probably a little bit.
What is your reaction to this?
I'm just gonna ask, Cal, what are you trying to pull?
You were not obviously quite expecting this, but we're certainly not shocked by any way. The
Right.
Beet Knight had a better reaction of this, and the other three members at the table begin to wildly start giggling and laughing at his expense. The chest sprouts arms and stops thrashing about. two tiny little legs, as well as eyes. Heed me! A voice comes about as you recognize this to be another Victor, not an actual mimic.
Mm. Okay.
You recognize this to be the somewhat lesser known and but unmistakable Crate Phantom. A Victor more or less known to be used in a cheap way as such, instead of just gallivanting around and adventuring. Cal, half wiping a tear from his eye, says, "I'm sorry, but it was his idea."
I was wondering what the sixth chair was for.
This little buck stands here and gives you a good look. Heed me! I am the Crate Phantom! You! You are not a good person to play along with! I get no reaction from you!
I completely ignore the crate phantom, and I just tell Cal, okay, give me all the information. Everything.
The Beet Knight will calm down, making an odd comment that this is an interesting group here, as this little chest will waddle over and kind of squat in a seat. Cal expresses a somewhat half-felt apology for that, but asks if either of you would like anything to eat or drink. We've got some time. The Beet Knight looks to you.
I just look at the beat night and say, if you do, you can. I'm not particularly hungry at this moment.
Well, Cal immediately will turn to his right and introduce you to these two figures here. This tiefling, an orange tiefling with bright glowing yellow eyes. You've seen him once around here. He would happen to be another merchant about this part of town. This is Don Grave, almost a rival, as Cal puts it, a rival competitor. And this female over here, who you can only make out to be what you assume to be human, is really tightly clothed and strapped up, and is in fact an assassin. This is Mitigus. You can only gleam off that she has got a short glaive sword and some sort of flail contraption strapped to her back.
Okay.
As well as, of course, the Crate Phantom.
Duly noted.
Don Grave eagerly kind of reaches over the counter and strains himself to shake your hand instead of getting up and walking around.
I reach over and shake his hand cautiously.
As he reaches over, he's literally craning over this table, so his tail about knocks over the chair, which you now can see has a somewhat of a scorpion barb, a contraption on the end of his tail to make look like a barb of some kind. You suppose would be like a weapon, somewhat like Ophelia has.
Okay.
Says it is quite interesting to make your acquaintance, but I'm here to see what my dear friend Mr. Amari has planned for you. I love watching him try and plan something. He's not quite the most thoughtful planner.
Well, that's what I'm here for, too. So, I look over at Cal and state if you'd be so kind just to elaborate.
Well, okay, if you're that eager. Oh, okay. He sits up from the table and pushes the chair back and throws a hand up lazily off to the side and suggests towards the one of the meeting rooms at the back. As you kind of take a hint that maybe discussing an entire heist out here in the bar would not be the best idea among all these thieves and assassins.
Right. I get up out of my seat and motion to the beat night.
The Beet Knight will readily jump up as if ready to go to action. Cal will express a quick bow to everyone, thank them, and pose that he will be back. As Cal will make his way behind you and quickly pull out a small key, unlock one of these meeting rooms. And give me 1 second. Bam. And the three of you enter, quickly followed by Don Grave himself. A smallish room, set with nothing more than a table, a few chairs, as well as some tankards of what you would guess would tankards, some large barrels of what you would suggest to be mead or ale of some kind.
All right.
Cal kind of rushes around and takes his seat here. Don Grave will kind of saunter around and with his tail take the chair just beside him. Kind of elegantly sit down. Everyone having been seated, Cal will then look to you, cross his hands, and give that smile again. Okay, what do you need to know?
First of all, where is this place that you are going to have me break into?
He reaches into his pockets and immediately starts pulling out all sorts of papers from amidst his fur clothing. He before you can take 2 seconds, there is a mess of paperwork all over the table, right in front of him. But he's easily able to kind of look through it, like as if he can make sense of this pile of papers. You recognize some form of map he pulls up. The city in question is off to the southwest. It's Shaymore, the city of tombs. And I need you to get me an item.
What exactly am I trying to procure?
You're trying to get me a particular item from a dead wizard's coffin.
What wizard? There's plenty of them.
Yes, unfortunately I don't have the name. But this wizard will be obvious. He slides a piece of parchment to you with a particular symbol on it. This right here is his symbol. It'll be on his tomb. It's unmistakable and one of a kind.
Okay. Um, is there first and foremost? Can I'm looking around on the table. Is there a scrap piece of blank paper that I could copy down the symbol and hand it to the Beat Knight so he's on the lookout too?
Yes, and the Beat Knight's actively pulling out a small scrap of parchment, kind of taking notes as well.
Excellent. Okay. Um,
Cal is just posing through all of this parchment, like as if he's trying to sort something. The entire time, Don Graves is just sitting here with the most condescending look at Cal, like as if Cal has no idea what he's doing.
is there anything in particular? First and foremost, where in the city is it in? Like some sort of home, or is it a dungeon underneath the city? What am I? Where am I going in this place?
The city is built basically in a perfect square itself. The catacombs in which the wizard lies is directly underneath the city in a perfect foremost line of the city itself.
Where is the entrance to the catacombs? Or will punching a hole in the ground just work?
There are three known points of the catacombs, and best points of access would be the church, the cemetery, and the morgue, respectively. I am literally Cal right now. I have all sorts of papers in front of me. All sorts of answers.
Awesome. Which one of these three is the least guarded?
Unfortunately, that would be our problem. Don would now chime up to join in the conversation. Yes, you see, this is a city of tombs. It is the place where the royals and the very prestigious, the important family members would be taken to be buried. And likewise, the city has its share of thievery and problems with stealings. So security is tight. Unfortunately, they're all guarded just the same. But that's what we're trying to work around right now.
Okay. Well, getting in shouldn't be too much of a problem, actually. Because if there is access in the morgue, then all you need is someone to pose as a corpse.
A good start, but what makes you so sure you're able to get in the city this easily? Don will give you a look, wondering your plan.
Royals are normally denoted by wealth.
Yes.
It's like generally, like I say, there's no place that money can't buy.
Well, that's correct, but you see, Shanemore's not really a place people pass through. This is more of, let me sign your documents to proceed kind of place.
I see. If getting the city itself is going to be that difficult, then we may have to do something a little more. What's the word I'm looking for? Less, Something a little less elaborate. Sneaking in is probably just going to be our better option.
Well, that is the failsafe. But the only downside is the city is very guarded. Every single block tends to have guard patrols. So sneaking's not really a thing. We're gonna have to really more rely on hiding in plain sight.
Hmm.
So here's what I've got an idea for.
He scrounges through some of these papers. And Cal informs you he has supplied a carriage, a horse-drawn carriage, and as well as a boat ride from here to the. Let me get my map real quick. To the southern run, which is only about another day's trip to Shaymore.
Mm-hmm.
Tells you there you will pick up a carriage. The, the carriage is a funeral carriage. He's also supplied a coffin and, in fact, a body. He slides about 5 or 6 documents towards you.
These are your paperworks here. All of these should be in order, signed and stamped proper. These will get you in the respective places as needed, as it seems everywhere in Shaymore needs paperwork.
Mm-hmm. I look over the paperwork and see uh, where all they will get me in, like what these bits of paper are.
They are, in fact, exact formal documents. These look very, very important and very well crafted, not just scrawled on some measly parchment. Excuse me. But unfortunately, they all are very similar. There is no exact title or heading on each of them that would say, you get to go here. There's no real indicator that would separate any of these, so to speak.
Okay, so between here and the destination, I'll have to read them.
Don will kind of snatch a piece of paper from amidst the pile and look back up at you two and back at Cal. A good start, but I think it would be best if these two filled in the blanks here. You see, he tosses the piece of paper kind of lazily on the table and now is more focused on you, Elrik, and kind of folds his hands under his chin like he's about to get in a deep conversation with you. Shaymore's a very busy city and a very tightly knit and inspected city. There are guard checks practically every block. You will be checked, you will be searched and questioned. You'll be searched at each building you arrive at. The building is also likewise probably full of thieves, so that will be a caution to take as well. The guards will question you, and I hear the guards have an immaculate way of finding out if someone is lying. At this point, the beat knight will kind of stop with his notes and ask about the dead body. And having that been the only real words he's said amongst this meeting, everyone kind of looks to him for a second and kind of goes back to his notes.
Yeah, he's not wrong. How did you procure a dead body?
How did I get the body is not the big question right now. We are all money grabbers here. We all make ends meet one way or another. So, how I got it is not really that much of a concern. I can assure you I have not just downright murdered a noble, but I have, in fact, gotten a body which will pose as your dead person. And my best suggestion is that we can pose with these paperworks to bury said dead person in the catacombs to grant you easier access.
Agreed.
The only problem is we can't actually bury this person. I need this coffin back. I need this body back.
That is going to be an issue. Because
Don,
I'm not certain that they create body bags of holding.
Don will look at Cal like as if he's just proved a point. Likewise, there's still plenty more issues here. Going from any place to place within Shaymore, everything is so well kept and orderly, you can't just stop by the local tavern or take a leisure stroll around town. You will be questioned. And then there's also the matter of actually getting in the catacombs. Yes, Don's right. To actually get in the catacombs themselves, only a priest and a guard will be allowed to enter at any given time. And with the carriage, I do have some, well, more appropriate clothing for you to fit in, posing as a... Cal pauses for a minute and kind of holds out a hand like he was gesturing towards you, but kind of looks you up and down about 3 or 4 times, and he finally decides on druid, I guess, and a knight, as he throws a hand over towards the Beet Knight. But there still needs to be a priest in this. So we actually have an inside informant and someone working with us here. He scrambles through the papers a little bit more. I am very familiar with the local tailor. The local tailor, her name is Sondel, as well as you'll easily see it of Sondel's tailor. She has happened to somehow given us a bit more hope here and managed to hide away a priest robe, which I'm sure would probably fit you. So that's part of it. But unfortunately, you'll have to find a way to stop by and get it. As well as you're going to have to procure a few more items to get in the combs themselves, as you would need some sort of holy relic to prove your authenticity. And unfortunately, the only way to snag that would be from the church itself or from another priest, as well as probably a set of keys to the catacombs, as all entrances are kept under lock and key at any point.
Oh boy. I see. It's not going to be anything like a normal heist, I'm gathering.
No, this is more working like I said, hiding in plain sight. But as far as I can gather, that's the only way we can get in here unless we want to try and tunnel the entire length of the city and dig up from the bottom. Which we had considered, Don will pose. but with the strictness and the guards, we found would probably be less than stealthy.
Well, to be perfectly honest, it seems like it would also have been a lot easier to pull off. However,
Both of them look at you and say in like the same monotone term, debatable.
well, we have a fair few goals here,
Yes,
and the
and that's
beginnings of a
that's
rough plan.
that's another reason why I need you here today. I want to make sure you have everything you need and understand all that you need before I just send you out on this.
To be perfectly honest, sneak thievery would have been easier, but as you stated, it not necessarily completely doable in this situation.
I was about to say, Don kind of poses an eyebrow and kind of gives you a look of uncertainty. Why are you so set on just this sneakery notion? What makes you think this will work? Why do you think that's such a better option? He says, trying to understand you.
The less people who see you, the less likely you are to get caught.
True, but how do you think you're going to sneak about in a place as this? You don't know the layout. You don't have a map. You don't know exactly where you need to go. We don't have a map for you. Guards around every corner. All of the residents would gladly rat you out in a heartbeat.
I was just voicing what I felt would have been easier. This is your plan. I just have to go along with it.
He'll cross his arms and kind of sit back, a little bit unpleased with your answer. Cal will fumble through some more papers, and at this point, try and get it clear to you that he needs you. He needs to make sure you have everything you need.
Do you know exactly what the dangers might be in the catacombs?